axes then. So if I'm wanting to purchase a walking or a mountaineering axe, quite a lot is what length. The first thing to think about is what are you going to be spending most of your time doing with this ice axe. If you're looking for an ice axe to give you extra security when you're out sort of walking in the fells and dales, then something that is a little bit longer so that as you hit the slopes, you've got something to help with your security. So most of the time on these sort of days, the axe is going to be used down here, so a slightly longer axe is better. If I'm thinking about mountaineering, maybe in the Lake District, North Wales or Scotland, where I might be using the axe above my head, either on steeper snow or rockier ridges, then sometimes if it's too long, that can get in the way and people will prefer a slightly shorter axe for that. I'm 5'8", and this is a DMM Spiretech, which is a great sort of walking mountaineering axe. It does quite a few different jobs. It's a lovely weight. And then the length of this then, that 55 centimetres, if I sort of stand there with my shoulders square, can you see, if I stand level, tap my leg, the spike reaches to the top of my winter boot. And then that gives you just the right sort of length. So if I start to approach terrain where I've got a steeper slope and maybe a slip is a possibility, I'm going to want my ice axe out. I want to be able to reach the slope comfortably. If this axe was a lot shorter, I'd be like this, so I would be off balance, and that defeats the whole object of this side of things. So thinking about that length, can it be too long, too short? It can be, so just take your time. We were thinking about maybe try before you buy is quite good if you can get out with friends and they've got different lengths of axes. Try their axes and see how it feels, ask them for their opinions. But the key thing is finding something that's going to be good for you for what you're going to do most of the time. Another consideration is perhaps if we break rule number 1, which is don't fall off, that's rule number 1 in winter, then I might have to execute a self-arrest. Now, executing a self-arrest is something that takes an awful lot of practice. So I don't make this the main thing for choosing the length of the axe, because most of the time I'm going to be using the axe for moving around the hillside. So I would default to what I've just said there. However, for self-arrest, the position I'm going to need to get the axe into is across my body. So from just underneath my collarbone to the opposite hip. And I need to be able to hold that snug against my body with my elbow sort of tucked in nice and tight. You can imagine if the axe was a bit shorter, that's hard because I've got to get my hand under my body then. And if it was really long, then it sticks out here and it's more likely to catch. So that is a consideration, but as a really good sort of baseline, guideline, I'd think about going with that. That's what I recommend to people when they're asking me about buying their first walking or mountaineering tool.